Hottest topic in Silicon Valley right now, which is growth hacking. Ladies and gentlemen, Facebook's data scientist, Nick Berry.
Thank you very much. Right. So I have to apologize in advance. I've done my usual trick. I brought 60 minutes of slides for a 20-minute presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk twice as fast as usual and run into the 10 minutes of questions. So as far as I'm concerned, it's going to balance out. A consequence of this is if you're going to try and make notes, your head's going to explode. So what I want you to do is sit back, just enjoy, relax the presentation. All the slides are already available online. If you want to drop me a business card afterwards with the word slides on there, I'll make sure before the afternoon's out, you'll get a copy of the deck. So sit back and relax. So what is growth hacking? The term was first used in 2010 by some serial entrepreneur, and he said, a growth hacker is a person whose true north is growth. What the hell does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't understand what that means. So searching around the web, there are some sort of better quotes. It's a non-traditional way of growing your traffic. It kind of sounds okay. More focused on the objective than the process. Typically innovative, out of the box. What I'm going to do in this presentation is give my interpretation of what growth hacking is and what it isn't, give some examples of things that have worked. First of all, there are no silver bullets. In fact, there are no silver cannonballs either, which is what growth hackers are looking for. There's no secret toolbox. The secret is actually in the mindset, not the tool set. So if you develop your game and somebody comes along and says, oh, we're just going to hit the growth hack button, it's just garbage. You really have to sort of work at it. Tools are very important, and I'm going to tell you about the tools later, but there's no secret toolbox. So what's the difference between growth hacking and traditional marketing? Well, if you're traditional marketing, you've usually got an established business and you're happy with like a 5 or 10% growth. If you've got your startup or your game, you're looking for a 10,000% growth. So you need something that's going to come up and scale. Any solution needs to come up with needs to be able to cope at scale. And a quick slide here, read along with Nick. What's some of the differences between growth hacking and marketing? Well, marketing is typically established. You've got a longer frequency. Typically, indies and startups, they don't have access to brand equity or an install user base that they can leverage from. I hope some of these things are resonating with you. You probably have a very small budget. There's more uncertainty. You probably have an untested product. Marketing people have budgets and they plan in advance. I'll have a quote here. Budgets make people lazy. They begin to think in traditional terms and don't innovate. But the best quote I could find for this is another fellow Brit, Sir Winston Churchill, which happened during the war. And it's, gentlemen, we've run out of money, now we have to think. So put yourself in that mindset. We have no money, we have to market our product. How do you go about doing it? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but this is your game. It's the proverbial tree that falls down in the forest. If you build it, they will come. Not. Important thing. If you have the greatest game in the world that nobody knows about, it's just the greatest game in the world that nobody knows about. Content is king. Sure, you need a great game, but distribution is God. You need to make everybody aware of your game in the cheapest possible way. Saying the same thing over and over again. Visibility is oxygen. We were kind of naive. We thought if we made a really good product, it would just sell. But that's not the case. Having a great product is a great starting point, but you need to tell people about it. Why is this a problem? Pull up your favorite search engine. What is the best social game? That's the number of results you get. And here's the problem. How often do you click here? Being 1 through 10 is orders of magnitude better being through 11 through 20 or 21 through 30. It's search engine optimization all over again, but it's now on the web. Something you probably already know as well. User acquisition costs are probably your single biggest expense. We can argue about how much it costs per install, but you know, $1.80 for an iPad install these days, it's very expensive. So history is written by the victors. What that means is you don't find out or hear about the mistakes. We've tried this thing and it didn't work. But also, just because it worked for someone else, it doesn't mean just say you can just rubber stamp and replay it. Kind of examples. If I'd have told you 2 years ago you need to dress up like a fox and jump up and down to get sort of 500 million views, you can't do that again now. But what is it about that? It was something that was really exciting and people wanted to share about it. Don't waste to die. Everyone can sing the song now in their mind, but they parlayed that into a sort of top-selling game. Everyone knows about Flappy Birds, or anybody want to make some potato salad, which is going through the sort of web at the moment. What do all these things have in common? They're things that people wanted to share, not because they were told to share. They said, hey, this is cool, you should check this out. Okay, bringing it back. At the end of the day, it's a product. You have a good restaurant because you serve great food, not because you tell people you serve great food. Anybody could growth hack anything you really wanted to, but you can turn yourself into a dodgy used car salesman. If you give me a product, I'm sure I could sell the product for you. But at the end of the day, players hate a bad game too. So if all you're going to do is just sort of propagate things, that's just a really bad idea. So the start of this is, you need a great game. So serve great food, don't be a used car salesman. Please make great games. That's the starting point. Virality. Everyone talks about viral, but I'm a scientist. I'm a physicist, so I like nuclear rather than sort of biological. But this is uranium-235. One neutron goes in, 2 neutrons come out. And this is how you create a scalable solution, because you get users for your ambassadors. If you have to call up on the phone every single one of your customers and said, hey, buy this game, and they do, you're not going to scale to 65,536 people. But if you tell one person, that one person tells two, two tell four, then it goes on from there. It scales very easily, and it leverages the existing network. Use Facebook, use my network to get in contact with all your customers, rather than you have to contact each of your customers individually. A/B testing. If you're not doing this, kind of go home. Please do not collect $200 when you leave. You need to be running your software as a service. Other advice. It's the taste of the fish, not the taste of the fisherman. You're making a game for other people, not a game for yourself. So don't be a prima donna. And the team that I work in, we have this saying, data levels all arguments. You can argue this should be red, this should be blue, we should charge it this. Test the thing out. Iteration is the name of the game. Try, learn from your results and your mistakes. Iterate, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. Go around this particular cycle. You have to measure everything. Because if you don't, how do you know if you got better or worse? There is no such thing as a failed experiment. Only experiments with an expected outcome. You can learn how not to do something from an experiment that failed. If you don't measure everything, how can you improve? A quote from Andrew Lang here. He uses statistics like a drunken man uses lamppost for support rather than illumination. What does that mean? If you think, I will reduce the price of this product and I'll sell more, and you reduce the product and you sell more, you've just reinforced what you already knew. What the scientist does is, how much do I have to reduce this, and how much extra incremental sales am I going to have? What's the correlation? And that's the difference between the support and illumination. Never guess. Be data-driven and adapt to fast. Testing always beats guessing. I'm going to drill this point home with a few more slides. Ever know this guy? I never guess. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist the facts to suit the theories instead of the theories to suit the facts. Test everything. Always be testing. Even if you don't have all the data, errors using inadequate data are much less than those using no data at all. Who said this? Charles Babbage, the father of the computer. Okay, bring it right back to games now. How much water's in the bath? This is your game. DAU. At Facebook, we love our customers. We call them people. So rather than saying DAO and MAU, you'll hear me say DAP and MAP for daily active people. I'm sure you can translate. But this is your game. This is your daily active people. And this is the level of water that's in the bath. Every now and then it goes up and it goes down. Why does it go up and down? Well, you lose people at the bottom. This is the sink. Those are the customers that you hemorrhage away. And you get new customers appearing at the top. There's a fascination in this industry, I don't know why, about measuring DAP. But imagine this scenario where there's two games, game A and game B. Both have 1 million DAP today, and they have 1 million DAP tomorrow. This game over here sucks. People come to the top and they just leave at the bottom every day because the game is just such a total garbage. This game over here is brilliant, incredibly sticky, but nobody's coming into the top of the funnel. Both 1 million, both 1 million. If you try and solve them with the same problems, you're solving different kinds of things. It's horses for courses. What problem are you trying to solve? They're very different problems. So, how do you measure these things? Well, and again, some more advice. Split it up. Acquisition, engagement, retention, and monetization. Build dashboards for these today, even if it's going to cost you some money, because the price of light is less than the cost of darkness. I'll build a dating analogy of this, acquisition. First date, getting a blind date. If you're in the acquisition business, you're in the eyeballs delivery business. How can I get blind dates? How much does it cost me? Which ones are more efficient for getting your users through? Getting a second date, acquisition, engagement. Can you get a second date? This is a sad fact. Only 16% of apps get a third date. What's that, 1 in 6? They install your app, they have fun with it, they try it a second time, they tried a third time, that's it, they've gone. You've paid $1.80 or however much it is to get that person in, and 1/6 of them are not even making it through to the third date. How do you fix engagement? Well, it's all about getting people into the game as fast as possible. How quickly, once they try that game, can they go, aha, I get that. Getting to that aha moment is critical. Spotify. Do you know that 20% of all songs on Spotify had never been played even once? It's a very long curve. Now we got into a relationship. this ongoing relationship, and you're looking after this person. Fix your bucket first. Buckets with holes probably need fixing more than needing more water. It's costing you $1.80 to pour something to the top of that bucket. 1/6 of it getting through. If you give them a great gaming experience, why are you wasting all that money? There was this many years ago in running software as a service, the idea of, get your minimum viable prototype out there, use your customers to test it. That's not the way it is anymore. They try it out. If they don't like it, they go, and you're never going to see them again. And you've paid all that money bringing them through. Finally, monetization, the wedding, the paid off. It's the lifetime value. This is a marathon, not a sprint. It's the area under the curl, the total payment that you actually sort of get from those people. And take care, because the most valuable users could be the early adopters. The people who try out your game first of all are the ones who are real game enthusiasts. They try it out. If it's not right, they'll go away. But they'll also tell other people, because everyone knows they're the gaming experts. And say, well, which is the next best game I should play? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So if somebody tries your game, you've paid all that money to get there, the game sucks. Even though you would improve it later on, you'll never see them again. And the equation that sums it all up, cost per install, lifetime value. If one's bigger than the other, you're going to make money. If one's less than the other, you're going to lose money. 93% of revenue from games mobile is freemium. This bit here. This means you make money from people with that ongoing relationship with them. Once upon a time, you'd go to a brick and mortar store, you pay the money and that's how you go through, or deluxe download, you pay the money and you get from there. Now, they try the game, they play more of the game, they play more of the game, they play more of the game, and then finally they hit the pay gate later on. And in order to be able to sort of get the money from them, you need an ongoing relationship with that person. Resurrection. It's cheaper to bring someone back from the dead than it is to find somebody new. Nordia spent $3,500 on a re-engagement campaign on Facebook. Anyone have an idea how much money they got back from it? $121,000. That seems like a pretty good return on investment to me. Keep at it. Everything compounds. For the mathematicians out there, make a 1% improvement every day for 365 days, get a 37 times increase. Make a 1% decrease in what your gain for 365 days, you end up with something about 2.5% of where you started. It's a glass half full, glass half empty, but make progress every single day. Growth hacking isn't new. Anybody remember these things? Would you like to wager why a company would call themselves AAA Plumbing? Or why, when you looked in the directory, you'd find the Heathrow, Hilton, Heathrow, various canonical forms? They're trying to maximize the chances of going through there. Even on Facebook, the first games on Facebook, Lil Green Patch. Round braces, alphabetically searched. When you look at a list of games, they appeared right at the top. They were one of the top games on Facebook. Even Jeff Bezos. The reason Amazon was named Amazon because it starts with the letter A. He specifically chose the company to start there. So growth hacking isn't new. You just have to think like a growth hacker. Carpe diem. There's a lot of science involved in things, but there's an awful lot of luck. And you have to be ready to seize every opportunity when luck comes your way to exploit it. There's a fire hose of media content coming through every day. And so creating good headlines really helps. I'm not talking about sort of link bait or sort of switching, but what headline causes you to read on things? The secret to this, how to avoid this, whatever it happens to be. Choose some of those headlines. Again, if you end up going to a garbage article, everybody loses. But if you've got a great product, why not use a great creative headline to drag people in? Anybody remember the Chilean miners in 2010? They were stuck down in the ground. Some creative guy at Oakley Sunglasses said, hey, when they come out, it's going to be really bright. Why don't I FedEx them a cartload of glasses so they can wear them when they come back up? They came up. Over 1 billion people around the world watched them. Somebody sat down and worked out how much primetime TV they had. Estimated $41 million of primetime advertising slot with their logo on just because some creative growth hacker worked at that company and said, hey, we'll ship them some stuff. You only have a narrow window. This is a Google plot of what the response of Chilean miners is. You can see there's a peak there. Seize every opportunity. Maybe you've got a game about a Peruvian tree frog, and it just happens to be the NPR have got some story on about a Peruvian tree frog. Then you should be there within seconds, say, hey, great story. Here's a great game I've got about it. And this is where you can sort of go through. You need to be ready at every opportunity. Another couple of examples. Paris Hilton got banned from a hotel. I have no idea why. Some other creative hotel chain said, hey, we can capitalize on this. Paris Hilton is also banned from our hotel. Nice creative headlines and pictures, all the things that goes on. Google Spider picks it up. So when you search for Paris Hilton banned from the hotel, you don't get the original hotel. You get the guys that the growth hackers have sort of chosen as the place you should go to. CES, he crashed the party. I just wanted to listen to music. He got the top headline of every single sort of tech store just because of he got booted from a party in CES. So many possible ingredients. Your growth hacking. Again, this is another read along with Nick's slide, but what should we be doing? Blogging, podcasts, webinars, ebooks, white papers, guides, infographics, conferences, SEO, keywords, publishing partners, affiliate marketing, link sharing, social media, contests, email, install-based marketing, app stores, paid installs, ads, tweets, backlinking, incentives, word of mouth, TV, radio, Facebook. Yay! Mixture all those ingredients together. Your growth hacking team should be thinking about how can we combine those ingredients to help promote our product. Do everything you possibly can to stand out from the crowd. I have no idea whether it's true or not, but anecdotally somebody told me that the Angry Birds logo is red because at the time there was a sea of blue icons, and again, you're flashing by icons, that fraction of a second to get you to sort of click on it. Here's a test to see if you're listening. You're doing a dog game for kids about dogs. Which of those icons would you use? Test, don't guess. It was a trick question. Maybe the three-legged dog is there. But actually, you're right. Eyes really sort of help. And again, a bit of advice, if there's one thing you take away from here, put eyes on there. Here's an example. Big caricature, big googly eyes. The humans love to go for eyes. But again, your fraction of a second, you're looking at this slide. From those screenshots, you immediately know what the mechanics of the game are. You're flicking. You're going to see that. Here's another one. Oh, look, big eyes. Oh, look, sad puppy eyes. Change your icon, put big eyes on it. I don't have time to talk a little bit about this, but fuzzy trace theorem. This is a fascinating thing about what people remember. What would you remember about today's presentation? Well, if I ask you tonight, you'll probably be able to remember very specific details. But if I ask you in 2 months' time, you'll just remember the gist of, oh, that guy was a bloody genius, but I can't remember what he said. I don't know if you've ever been to a stand-up comedian and you come home and he sort of said, oh, he was the funniest guy ever. Well, tell me one of the jokes. I can't remember a single one of the punchlines, but I just remember he was a really funny guy. And that's what happens when you help promote a product. Facebook. If Facebook integration is not part of your strategy, you are crazy. So crazy, I've used sort of Comic Sans for this as well. Don't leave green on the screen. Facebook connected players convert better into paying players than non-connected players. It's data. Data levels all arguments. They spend more. Don't take my word for it. 9 times more likely to spend money than players who don't click with Facebook. 9 times. Players who log in Facebook are 3 times more likely to return and 7 times more likely to spend money. You've already remember that 1 in 6 people is going to go through. 3 times more likely to return. Facebook users spend 85% more. Hands up who doesn't want an 85% pay rise. There's no hands up, by the way. Let us introduce you to 1 billion people. Facebook is used on 1 billion mobile devices actively. So, you decide your company needs a growth hacker. How do you find a growth hacker? Oh, we're doing great on time. You need somebody who loves data and understands it. Curious, even a little naughty, edgy, experimental, kind of what can I get away with? What would happen what if I change this? Leverages every opportunity that comes along. Moves really fast, and talks really fast too, by the way. Creates scalable solutions, seizes all chance of visibility, and bakes in a growth culture you need to go through. And if it helps data scientists, it's the sexiest job of the 21st century, according to the Harvard Business Review. I love this quote about growth hacking. Your title states you're a hacker. If you're not breaking down walls and challenging the way you're doing things, you're doing it wrong. Growth hackers are Swiss Army penknives, they're MacGyvers, they get things done. It's not about sort of unicorns, mythical unicorns everyone talks about. Don't listen to that. And finally, you never outgrow growth. Facebook has 1.28 billion people, and I proudly work on the growth team for Facebook. Now, since we're ahead of time, can I carry on going? Yes. I love this graphic. I don't know where it sort of came from, but information, raw, knowledge is what connects it together. Wisdom, what's the most important part of things? What I would share with you quickly in this appendix section is why do people share? There's a great study. If you look it up online, you'll find a little bit more details. But there's 6 reasons categorized of why people sort of share things. I'll go through them. One of which is social currency. People share things because it makes them look cool. You see a link in your feed. You want to be the first, but you check this out, check this out, check this out. It makes you look good. Look what I found. Check out this funny video. This game is awesome. You should check it out. People share things for social currency. Look at my high score for games. Triggers. People share things when they're reminded of things. If you have a game about a yellow bus, every time you see yellow bus in your mind, you think, oh, that reminds me of this great game that I should sort of share things. So advice, pick a game based on a current meme, and then every time that you get exposed to that, people are more likely to think about sharing it. Do everything you can to give people a chance to remember your app. Emotion. People share things when they're emotionally involved with things. Excitement, oh, look at these cats, they're so cute. I can't wait to see this movie, I've just seen this trailer, it's very exciting. People share things when they're excited. Public. Kind of sounds obvious, but people share things when it's easy to share. Don't make it hard. Put a share button on there. If you have to copy the URL over to here, go to email and sort of paste it, how many people are going to go through? You put a share button on there, people do it. And it's not just share buttons, things like leaderboards, video sharing in every place you see here. Things like that would really encourage people to share things very easily. Practical value. People share things that you think others might get value from as well. I saw this tool, I think you're going to find it incredibly useful. This is the perfect to help you with this. And finally, stories. People love to tell stories. People share stories, not facts. I was on the phone to this tech support person, I complained, and they ended up being so helpful. Well, that's kind of okay. Imagine you've got a great game and your friend tells you, oh, I got this game. You're not really interested. They said, I played this game last night. It was so exciting that I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I overslept and I missed my bus. Then I missed my bus. My boss yelled at me and I almost lost my job. That's a story, and people remember those stories. And with that, I've come to the end, and we'll have a chance for a couple of questions.
One question.
Time for one question. This hand went up first. Sorry.
Thanks. I really appreciate the Winston Churchill quote. I think what you're trying to say is that growth hacking comes out of economic constraints, really. But what we found is that for a lot of startups, the real constraint is the number of users that they have for testing. I think a company like Facebook or Google, they can achieve that kind of sub 1% lift because they have the statistical power able to run a test in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm wondering for startups, for companies that don't have that resource and are constrained by statistical power, what would you recommend, and what have you seen to kind of work better to answer those questions?
It's tough, and I speak to a lot of people who come to these conferences. The beginning is the really hard part. I'm not here to do a Facebook sales pitch, but the Facebook install ads, everybody I've spoken to who actually use them said, this is a great product. When you get to a certain size, you've got to sort of feed the machine, it sort of goes from there. But it's those first few days or the first few weeks of getting your product. And that has to be where you do those creative things. Otherwise, you're just going to get lost in the mass of everything else. And that's where the potato salad or the Angry Bird sort of kind of things, there's a little bit of luck, a little bit of skill, but you have to sort of come up with that creative thing that's going to get you noticed. And the best thing you can try and do there is tie yourself to the back of something else, whether it's like the Paris Hilton example. There's something tangentially related to what your game is. Go into the bulletin boards related to whatever, if you've got a game about counting stoves, I don't care what it is, find the website or whatever that happens to be on there and start putting your foot in the door and talk about those things and leverage the power of other people that sort of come there. That's how you're going to get from zero to something. When you've got something, then there's great ways that we can help you sort of feed the machine and sort of put something in and get a multiple of that back out the other side. If there was a magic solution I could tell you, then everybody would do it. And it's like that history written by the victors. Dress up as a fox and jump up and down. That worked for them, but it's not going to work for you. Or do this Flappy game. It worked for them, but it's not going to work for you. But what is it about them? It's that creative, out-of-the-box sort of thinking that sort of caused them to get a little bit of press coverage or a little bit of sort of coverage in sort of some way. And there is no magic answer. You're just going to have to work at it and find whatever your secret thing is.
A year from now, when I'm thinking about this talk, I'm going to think to myself, bloody genius. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Scott.